Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you. Got my audience in the background just howling away with my co-host, Nina the Mystic. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Good deal.
Even knows howling over time over there.
He even knows when to stop. Say we did the thing, he stops. He's just waiting for that.
Well, maybe he wants his attention, He wants his 15 seconds, So there you go.
He wants that 15 seconds. At least I got an audience of one. Anyway. Well, tonight we're going to be doing a show about hermetics and how everything is connected. Now, we've done shows before about hermetics and the hermetic principles and the this and the that and everything like in between. But sometimes it's good to just review back on these things. Go back, take a look, think about it a little more, because we tend to forget because we got short memories. And unless you study this stuff every day, you're not going to remember it. Right, Nina?
Yeah, no, you're right. No, that's the thing. We read the books and whatever, but most of us can't even remember what we had for breakfast this morning. Never mind the books we read 10 years ago, so.
That's right. That's right. And then we add to our collection. Now, this book here was a really good book. If you can see that, Franz Barden and Initiation into Hermetics. Very good book. Did a few shows out of this book, but I have come across another book, and this is the book I studied out of now, and we're going to be talking a little bit about this, and we're going to review some of that. Sorry, losing my place. My desk is a mess. And we're going to be talking about some of that. So as we start tonight, let me start with something real. We live in the most connected era in human history, and people have never felt more disconnected. Is that not true? Nina, what do you think on that little bit?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. Back in the day when we didn't have phones, getting a phone call was nice. And now that we have a phone in our hand 24/7, nobody wants to call each other.
This is absolutely true.
Have you seen that? I do it myself. The phone rings like, oh, who's calling? Like, nobody calls,
Yeah.
So it's all just text now.
Yeah, we can text, FaceTime, get on social media. How many of you haven't seen somebody post what they're eating tonight? Oh, look at the hamburger I'm having. Look at this nice meal. Oh my gosh.
You know what? I have to say that's like 5-10 years ago. Yeah, nobody does that anymore. Nobody does that anymore. I noticed nobody's posting anything. I've noticed.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's either that or people aren't going out to fancy restaurants anymore, so they don't have anything to show off, or they just lost interest in social media. I don't know.
Yeah, well, who hasn't done that, though? I'm guilty of it.
Well, yeah, back in the day, we all used to do that. We were all guilty of it.
I think a lot of that started when everybody was captive in their houses during the 2020.
Yeah. A lot of people started up culinary, get more into recipes and stuff, or sourdough. All of a sudden, now it's popular. Making your own kombucha. Yeah, so all of this kind of stuff, right? And now all of a sudden you got time for it. So yeah, and you want to show it off, and whatever. So
oh yeah, yet we're so far away. I can talk to somebody on the other side of the world. I got friends all over the country, yet I live by myself and see nobody. I am usually all alone. How crazy is that?
It's most people nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Most people. So tonight, when folks can feel so isolated and really overwhelmed, and honestly, like the life is just random chaos happening to them. And that's why tonight matters. And because tonight we're talking about hermetics. And I know that the word can sound ancient, like dusty books and secret symbols, and we talk about that often. But I'm not bringing this up as a museum piece. I'm bringing it up as a lens, a way to see the world that can put you out in the dark feeling powerful. Hermetics, in plain English, is the idea that reality isn't just a pile of unrelated events. It's patterns, it's relationships, it's systems inside of you and around you. And most people have heard the phrase, as above, so below. And whether you take it spiritually or philosophically, um, the idea is simple. What happens on the inside tends to echo on the outside. And that's what happens in the small, often reflects what happens in the large. And that's not philosophy, or that's not just a philosophy. So look at your life. And everyone notices how one small trigger can set off a chain reaction, a mood, a thought, and a fear. That reaction, that consequence, that you reinforce the same pattern again and again. Hey, it's kind of like dominoes. That's not bad luck. That's a loop. And here's where that comes in. If life is loops, you don't have to fix everything. You just have to interrupt one pattern. And who doesn't have a pattern? Because we're living in a world where your attention is being hunted. Yeah, boy, isn't it? Outrage sells, fear spreads, confusion keeps you scrolling. And Hermetics thinking, again, spiritually or philosophically, puts the power back where it belongs. In you. Your inner world matters. Your attention matters. Your choices matter. And so tonight we're going to do these three things. I'm going to explain what Hermetics actually is without the fluff. And number two, we're going to talk about how everything is connected, shows up in real life, relationships, moods, habits, and the world around us. And number three, we're going to leave with something practical, one simple way to spot a loop and to start steering again. And I want you to think about this while we're talking. Where do you see the same pattern repeating in your life? Same argument, different person, same setback, different year, same self-sabotage, different situation. Because the moment you can name the pattern, you're not trapped in it anymore. Mm-hmm. You tend to want to be. So welcome in. Tonight isn't about believing in something just because it's old. It's about seeing clearly so you can live deliberately. So let's look into Hermetics and why it might be the most modern conversation we could have right now. So let's jump right into those things that really matter and connect. What do you think about that, Nina?
Yeah, well, it's so true with the loops. We tend to, as humans, we do like routine. We can get into a routine real quick, and we like to keep it there, and some can get really OCD on how they do things. And yeah, it is a loop. It's a cycle that can be broken. That's the thing. And once you're mindful of it, like they said there, that's the trick. That's where healing begins, and you can start correcting it, so.
Yeah. And I think you brought this up many a times. If you can't see the pattern yourself, somebody may tell you, hey, you need to do these things in your life. It's a pattern, especially when you're reading cards. I think you've told me many times how people get the same cards over and over, and it tells them, hey, you're doing this wrong. You should change that. You're getting the same card week after week. The cards, the spirit is telling you to change. But most people can't break the pattern. Why is this?
That is so true, especially, for us who are, spiritual advisors. Yeah, people come, you give them advice, and then they come back, a week or a month or whatever later, right? And you ask them, well, did you do any other work? No. Mm-hmm. Oh, and so you're coming back expecting different results, without having to do anything. It is hilarious to watch. Yeah, they're coming back, hoping to get a different answer than last time.
Well, how do you break that cycle? How would you break that cycle? If you were the one getting the information, how would you go about breaking that cycle?
Well, you got to do the work.
That's right.
Right.
That's
So
right.
you actually got to, take the advice and do the thing, whatever it is, It's like if you're looking for work, you're looking, oh, am I going to get a job next week? People come to you for that. Am I going to be happy next week? Like, these are questions that you get, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you ask them, well, did you bring out any resumes, or did you make any phone calls this week? No. Well, what makes you think you're going to get a call for a job then? What I mean? So you got to do the work. That's the thing. Like, so if it was me, then, I would, I guess I gotta get on the horn. I guess back in my day, we just used to walk. I used to walk into a business, hand my resume in person to the manager, eye contact, right? All of that stuff, being able to sell yourself, just your energy, right? I mean, instead of just faxing it in, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, anyways, I'll go on.
Yeah. Well, and here's why Hermeticism is. What is it? What are we studying this for? Hermeticism teaches us something, that reality is unified and we can experience it through. And all of these things will help you make that change. Introspection, meditation. Who hasn't been? Have you ever done meditation? Of course, most people have. Inner transformation. You have to change what's inside you before you can change what's outside of you, like getting that job. We'll just use that for a good example, Nina. That was a really good one. I want to get a job, and I can't get a job until I concentrate or meditate on what job I want. I have to have that transformation in myself, saying, "Hey, I want this job, and I'm going to put the applications out there." And then you have that direct experience. The direct experience is actually filling out the application, maybe walking down to the place, like you said, you went down to the place you want to get a job, got an application, filled it out, and turned it in. That's the direct experience. It all helps you to get that job, fulfilling the domino effect, because it's not just one thing, it's all of it.
Translating that into modern language would be that you would just go onto their website and fill out their application there. I don't, like we were at the beginning of the show, is like, I don't think people want you to walk into their office anymore. That's like weird now. So, you got to feel it out, I guess, where you're at, depending on where it is that you're applying, but most likely it's a website, probably, if it's a bigger company, and they probably have applications there and do that. But I would always follow up with in person, even if you're just at the receptionist desk. Bring her coffee, right? Say something nice to her, you know what I mean? Make her like you. Better chance of that application is going to get seen versus the 300 other ones that also came in, you know what I mean? So
with that said, there's always the follow-up call. Hey, I put the application in, I sent an email, did you get my application? Did you get my resume? Making a call. Hey, did you get my application? You don't even have to go down there. I mean,
exactly. But most likely you're going to get the receptionist. It's going to be a gatekeeper usually. So you want to, be nice to that person, because, the more that person likes you, the chances are better that your application will end up on the top of the list, on the pile. You know what I mean? So
and the thing is too, is by following through and keeping going with, that change that you're trying to make. You're even if you're just bugging the receptionist, maybe she just puts your name on the top of the pile so she can say the next time, they looked at it and they didn't like it. Or maybe you get a letter saying, we reviewed your resume and it wasn't up to par, or something. But until you do that, you're at the bottom of the 300 people ahead of you, right? Because they're not calling. 300 other people didn't call, and you did. You called several times, and they're saying, let's get rid of this guy because, maybe we should look at his. He's really interested in this job. And
Yeah,
that is
either it
the
could go either way, right? Either they get annoyed or they're like, oh, this person's making an effort that the other ones aren't. So
yeah,
that might be a plus. Yeah. So
yeah. He
feel it out.
really wants this job. Yeah, exactly.
The thing about
So
nowadays, you have reviews everywhere. So you can review businesses and stuff like that. And so go and check them out, and wherever it is that you're applying to and see the reviews. What are people saying about them? Maybe there's hints in there to do certain things or not to do certain things, so feel that out too. That's one thing that we didn't have back in the day. We didn't have that. We just walked in cold, cold calls and cold walking, and we didn't have all these reviews and all these things that you can go and check out websites. We didn't have any of that. So you guys have an advantage nowadays, when they're out there looking for work. So,
yeah. Oh, definitely. Well, Hermetic principle. Let's just go back to circle back a little bit with the Hermetic principle. What does it mean? It means that the correspondence between the universe and the individual. And what we just explained about getting a job is the individual, we kind of went backwards, corresponding with the universe, because that's you, people, all you people in the audience out there. And thank you for coming tonight. I'm really glad we wouldn't have a show without you. Lucky Stone and Elderberry and all of you people that showed up tonight. Thank you so much. But anyway, what we're talking about here is because you and the universe become the cosmos, and it's all about how it all works together. If you don't put in the work, nothing's going to come back, and the universe ain't going to just reach out to you and call you up on the phone and say, hey, do you want a job? I think we were looking through our records, and we stumbled across your name and said, hey, this guy would be great for this job. We don't know who you are, but you want a job? That doesn't happen. It's the opposite way around. You have to affect the universe. Okay, let's move on. As above, so below. You guys all heard about that, and the universe and all the parts of it working together. It's kind of just what we explained. The reflections, how you reflect on the universe, and the universe will reflect back. So.
It kind of goes with that saying, and I don't think this is out of the Bible. This is somebody made this up, but there's this saying, God helps those who helps themselves. You know what I mean? Like, you'll only do so much. You got to put in some effort. So,
oh yeah, always have to.
Same with the manifesting thing, which is great. Have a vision board, right? Manifest, do rituals, whatever it is that you do, which is great. That's going to help you narrow down to find out exactly what it is that you want. Because sometimes that's not clear when people are out there looking for work or looking for, going dating, they're not even sure what they actually want. You know what I mean? So then how are you going to manifest that unless you know? So doing the vision board, doing all of that kind of stuff is good ahead of time, but you still have to get up off your ass and actually apply and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You got to follow up with the physical as well. So,
yeah. Let's expand this out into the world around you. I mean, there's the bigger stuff in the world and how that affects you. Let's see, where are we going to go? The patterns. Now, some people here watch news, some people don't, but the world that's happening out there affects you in some ways. Like, who hasn't gone to the gas station to fill up their vehicle and said, oh my gosh, gas prices are really high? Well, other people's actions have trickled down and come out at the pump, right? You can almost see these patterns repeat, and that's called history. Those are the outer loops, the actions, the outcomes. Is there going to be a war? Is there going to be a famine? Is there going to be a tornado? Is this summer? Is this winter? Is there going to be a snowstorm, a blizzard? Eventually, we figure out these patterns because they happen all the time. You get that cold wind from the north, it's going to be a cold spell. Like right now, we got a wind from the south, which means this morning without the weatherman even telling me. I know that warmer weather is ahead because wind change directions from northwest to the coming pretty much out of the southeast almost, or southwest I should say. It's a big change in wind direction. Huge.
Well, that's good. You guys need it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else do we got? We got all kinds of stuff. We have is there a divine being controlling all of this? Because all you Bible thumpers out there are probably thinking, well, it doesn't matter what you do. God has a plan and he's going to execute it and blah, blah, blah. Well, is there really? Nina, do you think there's a God who's got a divine plan, who's set you up to do whatever you do in life and you have no control over it?
No, I do not.
So no bearded guy in the sky?
No, I don't think so. We did a different show earlier, and we were talking about this. Humans are looking for the savior figure. They're lazy. Blame it on God, whether it's good or bad, right? So, and it's almost like, why even go and put that application in? Because God's already made up his mind anyways. Right? So right. We'll just slough it all on that. If it's not meant to, well, if I don't get, well, then I guess God didn't want me to have it then. But either way, I can just sit here on the couch and eat potato chips and not worry about it. So
because you're hoping somebody else does the work again. Like, somebody will get me a job. The guy will come and knock on my door, and he'll say, "Hello, yeah. Do you want a job? We got a perfect one for you. We're going to pay you a lot of money."
Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen.
Or this woman's going to come knocking on your door and want to get married.
That's what my grandma told me years ago. She said, "Oh, don't look for some nice girl will come knocking at your door someday."
Oh, really? She told you that?
She told me that. She says, "Don't bother." I don't know why you bother looking.
And Robert's still sitting there waiting for this.
Yeah, I kind of took her advice literally, didn't I? But she literally said that. She says, why are you looking at you're running around chasing all these girls? And she says, just wait. One will come knocking at your door someday.
Maybe that was more common back then. I don't know. Was women more aggressive? Just come walking up to a guy's door and say,
hey. She thought if you were a girl, then a guy would come knocking on your door. So why wouldn't a girl come knocking on your door?
Well, because it was more normal for guys to be chasing the girls, but I don't know. Maybe it was different, back then. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Yeah. Well, who knows? I was
going to pull up in my yard one day and I broke my tires flat. Help me. Oh, you're such a hero. Let's get married.
That's called Hollywood,
Yeah. That's right. My grandma must have watched too many movies.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do miss those westerns where the guy would meet the girl and they were just had that electric attraction to each other, and she would just give him some food or something. He'd say, "Thanks, ma'am," and she'd say, "Anytime you stop by and have a cup of coffee." Oh honey, I can't live without you. Oh, marry me. Like, what?
Yeah.
I've seen that one, it's like you know each other for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And she's the love of your life, and you're gonna or the guy would see her and say, "Oh, that girl over there, that's the one for me. I'm gonna marry that girl."
The only thing I don't know, this is off topic, but the only thing I can see, because it kind of was like that. The only way I can see is that, when you said till death do us part, it could be a lot sooner. I mean, 50% of women die of childbirth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the guys died of accidents and war and whatever. Like, so chances are it wasn't going to be as long. That's the only thing I can think of that as to why you would just do that so quickly. Because, the rest of your life, that's a long time. Like, you really got to think about that for a while. You know what I mean? Like, or at least you should, I think, someone that's done it a couple of times already. I can definitely tell you.
The only thing I can say is that in the movie there, the guy was actually practicing his Hermetics principles, because he said, I see that woman over there. I like her. She looks nice, and I'm going to marry her. And he walks across the room. He dances with her. He shares a drink. He takes her out in the stars, and he says some nice, cool things. And they look into each other's eye, and he says, let's get married. And she says, oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, really. But that is the Hermetic principle. You got to go out, you set your mind, you set your intentions, and you follow through. And apparently in the movies, you win every time.
Well, I mean, you can spin that the other way. I mean, if you've done the work, right? You've done the ritual, you've set the intention, you got the vision board, and and then all of a sudden this person walks into your life just like that out of the blue. I would take that as, what? I manifested that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then you own that. That's right. So that definitely could happen. But
even though we're on the weird subject of that, it's still, you got to figure, how does that work out in the Hermetic way? But because now if he was a shy guy in the corner and he looked over there and says, oh, poor Anna over there, oh, I'd like to make her my wife, but I don't have the courage to walk across that room and actually talk to her. And 20 years later, his buddy marries her and has 10 kids, and he's over there saying, oh, I just wish I would have walked across that room to meet old Anna. I couldn't. I just couldn't do it.
That's happened many of times, yeah.
Yeah, because people didn't follow through. Which is so true. But people have been practicing this thought for a long time. Let's look at the Kabbalistic teachings. They talk about the mental and the spiritual nature of reality. And it all goes hand in hand. They've been doing this for hundreds of years. This all it boils down to a source of creation and the unknowable mind of God, whatever God might be. And we're going to talk about that in a second. And they give it some names. It's called the endless light. We've heard that before many a times. Oh, it's the sun god. It's the son of God. Where does that come from? Light, sun. You get it? Sun, light, Kabbalah. It really tells you that sometimes maybe the whole thing originates from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That
was the original. Yeah, that's what we originally were worshiping, was the sun.
Yeah. It's the endless light. It's a primordial energy from which all of existence springs forth. Doesn't that sound kind of about the fit of things anyway? It's the mental frequencies. Anyway, a Kabbalist tree of life. Have you ever seen the Kabbalist tree of life, people? And we have that here in a second, as soon as I put it up. We'll be sharing that, and we all know, I shouldn't say we all know what it is, because if we did, then I wouldn't be showing it to you, would I? Oh, I'm so funny. Gotta get my hoots in there.
Well, some might not, right? But it's always a good reminder too.
Yes. I don't know if I can clear this up a little bit better, but this is the Kabbalist tree of life. There's all, we have the crown chakras, and this is basically a representation of your body. You, the human being, and there's all the Hebrew letters around here that mean stuff that I have no idea about. Unless you can read Hebrew, I can't.
Yeah, no.
But you got the crown chakra. This is you. Your crown chakra sits above, and so forth and so on until you get to the bottom. Now, I'm not the
chakra colors aren't correct there, but it's not going in sequence of your chakras. But
but that's, I don't know.
The basic colors are there, but they're not in. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. I don't know why they're. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. But anyway, this is the idea behind it, and I don't know much about it. it is a symbol representation of the process in which the universe came into being. This tree consists of 10 emanations of Sephiroth, which represent an attribute through which the Eophan sun interacts with the world. Now, I'm sure I don't know as much about it as you people do. I'm sure Lucky's in there looking up something and putting it in the chat.
Yeah, so you guys comment in the comment section as to if you know what this is. Now, I notice it's very similar to all the other mythologies, like the Norse. You could easily fit the different guards in there and all this. And, it's they're all sort of very similar, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, yeah, they're very similar. I'm glad you pointed that out because they're similar because obviously this is the way it works. And people around the world all knew it worked. They just labeled it with different labels and different names and, kind of put it all together. But they all came up with the same conclusion. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so according to Kabbalah, we were talking about the God thing. And as much as Christianity puts the God as a little old man with a cane and a white beard, ruling the universe from his throne in the glory of heaven with his golden scepter, is not quite so. Even Kabbalah, which is from the Jewish kind of aspect of things, which is kind of weird because Christianity came out of Jewish being.
Yeah. They stole that Old Testament. No, that's stolen from the Jews.
Yeah, which makes no sense at all. I wish somebody could explain that to me, because it says to the Kabbalah, God is an infinite wisdom and completeness. Created the universe as a means to understand himself. And again, it says himself. Is it himself or herself? How do we know which self it is? And this act of creation is born out of the divine desire for self-exploration and self-realization. By manifesting its thoughts and energy into the physical world, God engages in the cosmic journey of reflection and understanding throughout history, seeking to experience himself through his creation. Now, what do you get out of all that? What do you understand about that before I tell you my opinion?
Yeah, I just noticed that they all seem very similar. It's just a little bit different names and different whatever in different regions. You know what I mean? To sort of fit the culture there, or the climate there, and whatever. You know what I mean? But there's got to be something to this. You know what I mean? Like that we don't quite grasp yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's probably a lot of theories out there, but I haven't really studied that too much either. But just looking at it now and I've sort of noticed that with other things as well. Like it seems like we got one story, but it's got a different variation of it in the different regions of the world.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and it's just very to fit the climate, to fit the cultures. You can't have one culture talking about, one thing and another culture. The Norse culture.
We're talking about ice. That wouldn't fly in Africa, So yeah, exactly. Right. You have to modify it to the climate and to their understanding what's, of the culture.
How would you explain in the Norse culture about camels when they probably had no idea what camel was?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
or desert or whatever. Yeah.
But in like the Native Americans, they called it the great mystery. God was the great mystery, unknown, but it was in everything and all around us at all times. Yet it did nothing and was nothing, but was everything at the same time. And even in this, the way they word it, I don't like the part where it said understand himself. Himself, meaning one person, one being. I would say, how could it be one being, but I guess a thought or a incorporeal entity, I would say. I wouldn't call it a being. It would be an entity of some sort that wanted to express it. Let's just change some of these words. It wanted to express itself And out of this self-exploration of itself, because it was so everywhere, it created things and created a 3D world to manifest its thought and energies. And doing so, it made the physical world. Then it says God engages on this cosmic journey. Well, of course, once it created the world, it stepped back to observe and a journey of its reflection, to see what it created and see how it will pan out. Neither bad, this is where people get really confused. Bad nor good doesn't matter to this the mystery, the God, the creator, because all of the creating, the bad or the good, is a journey. You get what I'm saying? So if somebody goes to war, it just says this is an experience. If somebody creates a great artwork, it says this is an experience. And it's just trying to understand it and saying, hey, that's something new. Somebody was nice to somebody. It says, hey, that's a new thing, and I like that, or I don't like that, but I'm going to experience good or bad. So he is inside, like they say, we're all spark of God, the great mystery, whatever, the Kabbalah, whatever. This, if we have the spark of divinity in us, every time we create, every time we talk, every time we do something, good or bad, it's part of the experience. That's why people say, oh, that guy was such a good guy and he died at a young age. Oh, it was just God taking him. He wanted him in heaven and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, so how come a bad guy gets to live to be 100 and a good guy dies off at 50? That makes no sense. Why don't, and you get where I'm going with this? It's like none of it makes any sense. It's just an experience everyone's having.
Well, this is how I see it as well. Like there is no good or bad. It's just experiences. We take turns on them. And one time we're the victim, next time we're the predator. So, we take turns, I think, whether it's in this lifetime or other lifetimes. And this is the only way to learn everything is by experiencing it. And so whatever this creator is, it's learning all of this through us. Through our experiences, we bring that back to it. Now, I had a friend of mine who had a really prophetic dream. It was more than a dream, but he dreamt that when we die, we return to the machine, and I guess you can kind of see it that way. I'm not saying that the creator is a machine. I don't know exactly what it is, but we return there, okay, with our information. Right. And so it absorbs that into itself. And that's how it is constantly growing and expanding and evolving.
Well, that would make sense. That's why it's just like anything else in the world. I think it all is a reflection of one thing reflects another. Just like the sun is in the center and all the planets go around. The sun is round. All the planets have to be round. They can't be a flat Earth and all the other planets are round. The moon is round, but Earth is flat. Yeah. Why would that be? That would just be so odd that the Earth would be flat and all the planets are round. It would be more thinkable that the Earth was even way bigger round than we can imagine, and therefore we only experience a small part of that round Earth, but we just can't see it all. That would make more sense. But then again, we can look up at the stars and we can see other stars and planets revolving around them. So why would, our Earth be any different?
Yeah, we actually did a show about the Earth over on my channel. So if you guys want to know how I feel about, is it round or is it flat, go over to my channel and check out that video that we did there. But spoiler alert, I guess, if I'm going to get into it. But, I think that we are surrounded by an ice wall, and that the Earth is actually much, much larger. We're just one little round thing, a part of it, and that's why it looks flat.
That
You
could
know
be
what I
it.
mean? Kind of makes sense. But the actual planet is, round, and it's a lot bigger, and that's where you got all these other worlds and whatever. Yeah, go watch that video if you're interested in that. But that's what I think. So,
Absolutely.
but it still goes back to, yes, we are round in with all the other round planets, and yeah.
So let's get a smaller view. Now we looked at the world. We can, everybody can look up at the sky and see this. But now we're going to look at a smaller view of this and say, okay, how does the world work where we're at? Well, it's usually on a pyramid scheme of some sort, or a yin and a yang. I was always told when I was a kid, there's a bunch of rabbits everywhere, rabbits, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of foxes, and then they eat all the rabbits. Then the foxes get mange and they die off, and the rabbits come back, and then there's lots of rabbits. Then the foxes come around, and there's lots of foxes, and then rabbits are almost gone, and the foxes die out, and the rabbits come back. And it's a cycle that goes over and over and over and over. And which kind of makes me think, well, we must be on a cycle too. Good and bad is like that too. We have evil that rises in the world and tries to control everything. And once it, gets to a certain point, something happens and it falls. And then we have peace and serenity for a while. And then we have calmness and happiness. And then it goes back into tyranny. And then we have to have a revolution, and then we have peace and calm. And it's over and over and over. And I think just before the show, you were talking about this, or maybe just a while ago, about war. About 100 years after, about every 100 years, we have a big war. Why is that? Again, just like
It's
you
by
said,
design. There's so much money being made during those wars, and they own both sides. So it doesn't matter to them who wins. They own it all. So there's so much money involved. So unfortunately, where there's money, there's greed and all this, and so yeah.
But eventually somebody on one side or the other loses, and then there's peace and calm until the one side grows bigger than the other. But see, that's the thing. One side can never get too big without the other side taking it down. And then that side grows until it's too big, and then the other side grows again and takes it down, and back and forth the struggle goes, the yin and the yang. Just like the earth, it's supporting, we're the rabbits. We're out here on the earth, and there's millions of rabbits running around. That's the people. And what at some point or another, we're going to get taken down. It might not be today or tomorrow, or next week or next month, but at some point, if there's just too many of us, we're either going to fight amongst ourselves, we're going to run out of food, there's going to be a plague, something will happen, and we will be depleted like the rabbits, and something will come in after us, or whatever, but we'll have a rise and our fall, and there's nothing we can really do about it.
No, everything goes in cycles. So, and this is why we got to learn, from our history, learn from our past so that we can see what's coming.
Yep.
Instead of just burying your head and it's all love and light and one love, or love one all the time. Well, not always.
Well, love will win at some point. That's true, though. I mean, that's not a fake statement. Love will win at some point, but hate will win at another point. Destruction.
Well, that brings up a whole other
point.
discussion about, what is, that was weird. What is love, right? And you know what I mean? So that's a whole other thing. But I guess instead of using that word love, you see, I think that word has been misused a lot. It's that whole love and light thing, and it's not always light. We do have darkness once in a while, and according to the Bible, well, in the beginning it was darkness, so it's not something to be scared of. You know what I mean? And it's all in cycles. It seems to be, and it's very obvious. The 100-year cycle with the war. It's like the same playbook. And we know their plans. You know, we have their maps, we got their things from before, and they're just executing that again, trying that again now and see how it works. You know, sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it really is up to us. We do have free will to react differently next time. You know, if we know next 100 years, you know, how are we going to react this time? You know, so
yeah. Well, absolutely. And you know, so now let's turn it a little bit back towards ourselves. We're working our way down from the planets to the world. Now let's look at ourselves. Your inner world shapes your outer world. How, you know, what is your inner world? Your inner world is yourself. Your, what I would say, what, help me out here. Health is your inner world.
Well, it's your own thoughts.
Your thoughts.
You know, your own thoughts, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your little circle, your house, your home, your animal, your pets, the circle that surrounds you, maybe your job, you know, things like that, because, you know, like the outer world isn't affecting that so much. And you
Well,
know,
to me, inner world is what's inside of you. So,
yeah,
you know, really it's the only thing that you can control is your own thoughts, your own actions, you know, how
yeah,
you behave,
your
how
health.
you react to
Mm-hmm.
things. You know, these are all
Yeah.
things that are in your control. That's your inner world. You can't control the
Yeah.
outer world. That's, you know what I mean? So
No.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
but still, like I said, having that inner world means, like, your friends. You can choose to have friends that make your inner world terrible. You can choose to
Inner
have a
circle.
job. Yes, your inner
The inner
circle,
circle will be your family and friends, and
family and friends.
you
Yeah,
know,
there's so
maybe
many people I've
coworkers.
heard that had family and friends out there that were terrible and made their inner world terrible, because, you know, they're under, when you're under stress, that's your inner world. And how, you know, is that controlled? Is by your friends. If you don't have anybody to lean on, or the people you do lean on are not nice, they don't want to listen, they're terrible, they treat you like crap, that affects you. Your job, same way. If
Right.
you're
So there's
miserable,
nothing you can do like as your inner world about that, but you
yeah,
can choose to who you want to be around. So, you know,
that's
you
right.
do have a choice there. So if you allow that person to be in your life, then that's your choice.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm getting at. Exactly. Choosing, because that's it. We're, you know, if you're looking at your inner world and you're miserable and you have to figure out why your inner world is miserable. But if it's great, hey, you know, I'm a happy-go-lucky person. You know, do what I want. You know, I'm laughing all the time. I have some good friends. My inner world is really good. You know, I got some pets. I go for a walk. I have, you know, good food. I have good health. I, you know, do all these things. I have a great place to live. That's, you know,
Yeah.
makes your inner world better. And then you can use that. That goes into the next thing.
Well, that's because
Right.
you're smart and you moved far away from people, you see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even if you live next to people, it depends
Well,
on.
you know, that's it. We can't control who lives next to you, right? So sometimes you know,
Well,
yeah.
and that is true. If you live in a place where the neighbor is
Yeah,
a
there's
horrible
people
person,
all over the
move
place. You
away.
can't choose. I have no control over that, but I do have control over how I behave towards them or whatever, right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but not
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So a mind. Next thing is, your mind affects your reality, which goes with your inner world. Um, Mind. How does your mind affect your reality? How you think of things, I would say, right?
Well,
You
if
know.
you are out of balance, you know, and it actually going back to even the stuff you were talking about earlier, like it's all being in the balance. It really is. That's like the strongest message I think I ever gotten from
Mm-hmm.
spirit. You know what I mean? That whole balance thing. And the older I get, the more I know what they're talking about now. You know, so if your mind isn't healthy, right? You know what I mean? When it's mental illness or whatever's going on, that's going to reflect your outer world. The people are going to notice, you know, like, you know, and it's going to affect your behavior, your decisions. It's going to affect everything. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And your mindset too. I mean, how many people
Yeah.
have you met that walk around in this negative reality of life? Things are terrible. People suck. My job's horrible. And
Well,
they're
again,
constantly,
that's something that is under your own control. You can look at it either way, right?
yeah.
It's
But
like that.
but
It's like that little meme where you see these guys on the bus, and on the one side it's all dark and it's just mountain there. You can't see anything, but on the other side, you got all the view and it's nice and sunny and everything. Well, it's up to you which side of the bus you want to sit on. It's the same ride. We're getting to the same destination, but it's up to you of which side of the bus you want to sit on. Which view do you want? Where do you want to be? Some people like being in that negative for some reason. You know what I mean? There's a
yeah.
lot of,
Well,
things that are behind that. But
that's it. They make their own. They make their
yeah, they choose to
mind.
be there. They like it there. It's comfortable there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it is hard work to constantly have to choose to be happy, because life isn't happy. Most of the
Yeah.
time, there's challenges constantly. Whether you're on the computer, so I can pick it up and smash it to bits. Yeah, that would be great for about 10 seconds, and then what? Right now, I got to live with that consequence. So you know what I mean? We all have choices and how we deal with the issues that arise.
A lot of people, they don't like to make, what is it? Make lemons in the lemonade. They take the lemons and go,
Right.
oh, my day sucked. And they come home and they come home and they kick the dog and they yell at the wife and they, my God sucked and you're horrible and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's a mindset. Again, that's your mind.
Well, it's hard work though. Like I see it here. Like people, who live in my little town here, most of them got to drive like 2 hours in rush hour. Yeah. Okay, every day to and from. Now, after you've been sitting in 2-hour rush hour, so when you come home now, it takes work to actually consciously now shift your mindset. Because the quick thing, if you don't do anything, you're going to walk into the house and you're bringing that energy in there. And everybody's going to feel it. They're probably going to avoid you. They don't want to talk to you now, right? They know you're in a mood, So it's going to take a little bit of effort on your end now to really center yourself, do some of that breathing and try and change your mindset to now you're at home now. And you know what I mean? Like you're not in rush hour anymore. So that takes a bit of work. So, and unfortunately, most people aren't willing to put in any work at all, I find, and on themselves, you know what I mean? And or to better situations, they just turn off that car and walk in, just and expect things to be different this time. No.
Well, I think you hit the next one right on the head, and that is the healing yourself heals you and your community, the people around you. That your community is the people around you, the things around you. Like you said, if you can't heal yourself from smashing that computer, you're going to deal with the consequences later. It may feel real good then. Or if you yell at the wife or kick the dog or throw something and break it, or after that 2-hour rush hour drive and you got home and you're all, well, you know what? If you don't take those deep breaths in and out, whatever you do, isn't that the 2-4-3-4 or 2-4-2-4 breathing method? Have you ever tried that?
Oh yes, I recommend that with my meditation there. Yeah.
That's a good one to start with, people. It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything. Just all you got to do is breathe in, hold it for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 seconds. Breathe in, hold it, then breathe in.
Hold it for 4 and then out. For 4 and hold it again, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it really helps. Like that whole breathing thing. That's one thing that we're constantly doing, that shallow breathing, and it's really not serving us. And so if we are able to be a little bit more mindful of that, to do some of that stuff, it really will help. You and your family or people around you. You know what I mean? So it does work.
Yeah, put on some calm before you get done with that 2-hour rush hour drive. Put on some calm music. Listen to
but it does take some effort on your first to be mindful, and then a little bit of effort. And you can change that whole day. It's up to you now how the rest of the evening's going to go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Well,
yeah.
exactly. If you came home, I'll just picture the whole scenario again now with that new mindset. Okay, I
Mhm.
came home, I got the 2 hour rush hour drive. A few minutes before I got home, I put on some nice calm music. I took some deep breaths on my last minutes. I'm doing my deep breath breathing. You know, okay, I get to the house, and instead of walking in the door and kicking the dog, I walk in the door, I see the dog, and I give him a treat out of my pocket that I saved from work from lunch. And he runs off all happy. Instead of yelling at the wife, I compliment her with something. And even though it's turning my stomach because I'm mad, I say, "Oh, honey, thank you for being here, and you're wonderful for making
And
some
that's
dinner."
not being fake. Yes, I know
And,
some people, well, that's being
and,
fake. Well, no, it's just choosing to be in a positive rather than,
but
to allow that stress
mhm,
and
but
negativity to shine
But
through,
what,
So,
what do you get out of this? The thing is you're helping them to help yourself because you gave the dog a treat. The dog wags his tail and he runs off all happy instead of yiking and screeching across the floor and looking at you like you're the devil. And then you tell your wife she's beautiful and wonderful and thank you for making a nice dinner. And she says, "Oh, honey, and I'm so happy that you're home." It changed. That part starts to
it's
change
such a
your
difference.
mood too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Because now she's saying to you, "You're a wonderful
And
husband."
that trickles
Yeah,
down. Like now the dog's
yeah,
going to be a lot kinder to the cat. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Rather than, you know what I mean? And
exactly.
the wife is going to be kinder to the kids, and the kids are going to, and so on and so forth. It
Yeah,
trickles all the way down, So,
and
yeah.
makes you have a better night instead of going to bed
And then
grumpy
who
and
knows? You might
negative.
get lucky at the end of the night.
Yeah,
Instead of you're sleeping on the couch tonight, you're grumpy old
yeah.
bastard. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
exactly. It's amazing, but that's the whole thing. The few 5 minutes that you took to do some deep breathing, listen to some calming music, walking in the door, and then changing your attitude
yeah.
for a few seconds, a few words. Instead of kicking the dog, you praise the dog. You told your wife some nice things, and then all of that it comes back. You give out, it comes back. If you go in negative, you're gonna get negative. You go
That's
in
how it
positive,
goes.
you're gonna get positive. And
There
you're
you
right.
go.
That's your community. Like I said, you heal yourself, you heal your community. Even if you make it till you fake or fake it till you make it.
We make it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and go beyond that. Now you do that when you go to work as well, right? And
Mhm.
it just trickles down, and if we all were mindful of that and did that, it would be a lot nicer world to live in, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, those are just that's a little example of how this whole Kabbalah system works, from the moon and the stars right to your family's door, and to your own family, your little house on a hill somewhere. That's how it all works. And Nina, what do you think of all this?
Yeah,
What
there's some good principles in there. That's the thing. Like I said, it's seems to me it's like one story, but it's told a little bit different all over the place. And when you look at them all, you know what I mean? It just seems very the same to me. So it'll be very interesting to find out exactly where it all come from. Right. That's what we're trying to figure out. Who's our daddy, right? And where do we come from and where all this come from and what does it mean? So I can't wait for that day. Hopefully soon.
That's right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
everybody joining us in the chat, and you're all great people. We couldn't do this without you. Uh, Big shout out to all of you. Please give us a big thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe as always with that. And go check out
Grab
Nina
them
on
up.
her channel and get a
Yeah.
mug, get a hat, get a shirt. Says Milky Way or Beyond Truth, or go over there. And tomorrow night, you're going to have a show on. What are you going to have on tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow night on your?
I'm assuming this is coming up this weekend here. We're pre-recording this because it just works out better for work schedules. But yeah, no, it happens to be a full moon in Leo and it's in bulk. So I thought, you know what? Let's do a show about that. Let's get into the pagan stuff this weekend. Why not? Yeah.
Absolutely. And with
Yeah.
that, remember everybody, start the process. Start the Hermetics working for you, because this is what it's all about. And you can change your life, your world, the world around you, and then the whole world if we all work together. And with that, go out and be nice to your family, your neighbors, your friends. And remember, most of all, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love you all. Peace, everybody.
Bye.